Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for AI Falls Apart Unless Your Master Data is Governed, why MDM is the first step on the path to accurate intelligence. I'm your host and moderator, Nick Sather. I'm the product marketing manager for MDM space at Precisely, and I'm joined by two brilliant voices here in the data integrity and data management space. Brandon Brock, the senior value advisor at Precisely, who helps organizations create comprehensive case for change by defining business value and associated ROI of technology and software investments. And the other genius in the room is Mike Rice, global strategy consultant at Intellitide, helping enterprises implement AI and analytics solutions that extend MDM initiatives to meet their core business goals. The style of this event is more conversational, short, practical, more of a thought-provoking podcast-like feel. We're going to explore how MDM, AI, and data governance intersect, what's changing, what's misunderstood, and what's next. So I appreciate you joining us. I'm just going to jump right in and to start off with a kind of a pulse check question. There's a lot of mixed opinions about where MDM in the market is at. Some say MDM was dead a decade ago, while I saw presentations from Gartner earlier this year at the Gartner event in Orlando that said MDM is having a resurgence like we've never seen. But from you guys' perspectives, what's the most misunderstood thing about MDM in the market today? And I could just start off with you, Michael.
Sure. Well, over the years, I've kind of seen a lot. If you talk about MDM having a resurgence, I mean, did it ever really leave? At the end of the day, what is it about your companies? You're about the products and services that you sell to your customers in partnership with your suppliers from your various locations. That's all master data. So if you don't have master data, you don't have a viable business, right? So, but I think the biggest thing that people get kind of misaligned on is thinking that MDM is a technology, or just simplifying it into a technology, or thinking about it uh, like as it's for the domains of customer and supplier, whereas PIM is about product. And really, MDM, master data management, the key is in the actual words, is more of a discipline to manage master data, right? So that's very simple way to think about it. But the practice focus on four key pillars or cornerstones. The first one and the biggest one is data, right? And the data model itself, and then the content, your content that is aligned to your data dictionary and vernacular and how you talk about your customer suppliers and your products. Next would be process, the processes that you have internally to create and manage master data, and that includes the policies and the procedures that you follow as an organization. The third one being organization, people and skills, roles and responsibilities, and how you all work together to collaborate around master data, not just internally but externally with your trading partners. And finally, the technology, but not technology. And I think a lot of times Gartner thinks about it is in their quadrants. We're evaluating different technology solutions for master data, but it's really more of an ecosystem. So your master data could be created and managed in multiple places. You can start off in your ERP or your CRM, and if you have a tool, you can then also have the data consolidated and managed from there. So I think if companies just focus in on it as a discipline and then understand the four blocks, that'd be really helpful.
Awesome. Brandon, do you have anything to add to that?
Building on what Mike just said, I think companies often underestimate how strategic an MDM program can be once they scale the operation. So, MDM is foundational, and working as a value advisor for customers and helping them understand why make investments. I understand that sometimes it's hard to put a value to an MDM initiative and buying an MDM tool to leverage. But it is so foundational to the strategic initiatives that you're trying to implement at your organization. I find MDM as a tool is best understood when it's leveraged within a broader data governance initiative, and it's much easier to connect the dots for how this tool supports the initiatives of the company, and help measure that ROI. But I understand that, it's tough just measuring it by itself.
Good point. So speaking of initiatives that generate business value, I want to talk about AI for a second here. As a product marketer, I see a lot of messaging around AI for MDM, MDM for AI, and I see they often get conflated. So I want to unpack that for a minute and start with AI for MDM. And I guess I'll pitch it back over to you, Michael, to start. What does that mean to you, and what do you see as like the biggest opportunity for AI to enhance MDM outcomes?
Right, great question. I think people will probably think about AI in terms of its ability to do help with some of the blocking and tackling of master data. If you think about the initial when these solutions were brought to the table, it was kind of assumed that a lot of the master data would originate in the master data tool. But when reality sets in, most of the implementations are more of a hybrid style where data is coming from multiple sources and it has to be consolidated, it has to be cleansed, standardized, and harmonized, which means made so that multiple systems can consume the information and also enriched. And I think that, where AI can really help companies take a big leap forward because companies have been at this for 2 decades now. And why are we still having the same problems of exchanging data from a product vendor like a CPG company to a retailer? Why is this such a Herculean task, even with the, since long ago advent of data pools where everything is standardized? And, I think that's where AI can help companies get to the next level because it has an ability to actually take large volumes of data from multiple sources and do just that. It can help ingest that information a lot easier. It can then rationalize the information and consolidate it in a way that human beings, it just takes too much time and effort to do that. So I'd say the first thing is to let it do the data quality part, the kind of monitoring to make sure that the data is accurate, timely, and relevant. But the bigger value payoff is actually being able to gather data from, I would say, traditionally non-conventional sources, like being able to go out to one of your suppliers' websites and scraping the website with the information, because that information typically be very accurate because they're posting it to the outside world. The same thing for product spec sheets that are published as well, being able to go off and read that spec sheet and bring that data into your own solution. Those will be the biggest opportunities to move forward by leaps and bounds.
I like that example, and kind of having it in terms of like the front line blocking and tackling for the human capital. Um, what about you, Brennan? What are your kind of thoughts on AI for MDM? How do you define that, and what do you see on your side of the equation?
Yeah, so it's there's a fundamental difference between AI for MDM and MDM for AI in my mind. AI for MDM, as Mike mentioned, helps kind of define that undefined, unstructured data that you have. I think of it as, most people at this point in time have gotten used to leveraging, a chat GPT, a Google Gemini to, yeah, to, help them understand something. So AI for MDM allows a MDM tool to ingest some of that unstructured data, that is just kind of common knowledge. So understanding of what is a product sheet, that's something that you can find on the internet and the definitions are clear. I think where MDM for AI differs is when you're building AI models using internal data for your company, You need to make sure that that data that the AI model is trained on is defined, clearly defined, well structured, and has all of the necessary components for that AI to then make decisions. Because you don't build an AI model for your company just as a repository of all of your information. You want it to help your teams make decisions and
Absolutely.
automate some of those decisions. MDM for AI allows you to have a better model with better outputs, so you don't get those hallucinations that we've seen from early AI models.
Got it. That's a great example. That's a good point. I appreciate it. So I want to pivot over to the subject over quickly to data governance for just a moment. Most MDM solutions have some sort of level of data governance built into the technology, but not at the level of a full data governance initiative that an enterprise might deploy. How does data governance fit into an MDM initiative? Like, how should somebody think about that?
Oh, that's a great question. I have found it to be very helpful to have the definition of governance be more holistic, right? A lot of times when you say governance, people immediately gravitate towards people and skills. Data stewards, data managers, people and business stakeholders working together to manage data. And that's true, and you need that. But think of it in terms of those four pillars, right? So it's the data block itself. So how do you govern data? Well, if I have a data model that supports a structure of where we store information and how we store that data and the relationship between different objects in our data set, having a data dictionary that we all agree on what this attribute means and what are the expected values for those, that is how you govern from that cornerstone. The policies and procedures and process of when data governance is to be created, when it needs to be maintained, and how all that work flows between the various collaborators, that's another form of governance. We don't have to guess who is responsible for doing this next step. It is documented, and that's how we govern it through this process of governance. And then, of course, then there is the people and skills, which but it gets you beyond the what I call personal excellence. That hey, everybody just kind of knows what to do. And then finally, the technology, again, is there to help enforce the governance. If you say that this field is mandatory at this particular point in the process, the, the technology alerts the right person saying the process can't go on until you complete these attributes. So all four of those coming together helps with governance. Where AI comes in, if you think about AI, think of it as in the middle of those four cornerstones, right? It is just the ability to automate a lot of that, right? So if you just look at AI and just look at it, the automation from an automation perspective, I think that's a good foundation.
Yeah, Mike, I think you made the point very clear. I like to talk about MDM and the difference between MDM and data governance as simply a data governance tool, a data governance initiatives defines the rules. A MDM tool will implement the rules as they've been defined. And so it allows you to operationalize what you do in a data governance framework. So, saying that a zip code needs to be 5 digits long means nothing if you don't have a tool that will stop the data from being six
Right.
digits. Like, so they have to work hand in hand and they go together. I won't say like peanut butter and jelly, but it's like some of the classic duos, to make sure that your data has quality and consistency and can be trusted by your organization.
I'll also add on top of that being able to have a data governance initiative, its own robust kind of initiative platform, a solution for data governance implemented and linked to an MDM allows you to be able to more closely tie ROI to that MDM initiative as well, right?
100%. 100%, because you tend to have a data governance, initiative because you realize there's problems within your organization. And those problems are what you're able to measure with the impact of implementing a data governance solution in combination with mastering the data behind that problem.
Cool. Awesome. All right. And then I want to wrap it up here. I know we're coming close to time. Since we only have a few more minutes left, I want to close looking ahead. What surprised you in 2025 here, and what do you anticipate in 2026 in the future? And Brandon, let me pitch it over to you first.
Yeah, so I would say that the one thing that has surprised me in 2025, but the past couple of years, is how there's been a lack of connecting MDM to AI initiatives, and especially at the C-suite level. Um, the C-suite, because AI is so, popular and rampant in today's market, they are creating a lot of them initiatives behind developing AI tools, implementing AI within their organizations, and that I've seen there's a disconnect between the MDM for AI and how implementing an MDM solution would actually make the AI models and AI tools that they're creating and want to generate better. So I think what I see going forward is MDM will become a part of a larger roadmap of progress for organizations. So they know it is the first step to achieving their AI initiatives, because without it, that those initiatives tend to fail.
Yeah, like you talked about at the very beginning, right? Having that master data structured, clean, accurate, feeding those AI initiatives is like, obviously people say foundational a lot, but it's like the rebar and cement that'll build on those AI initiatives. Michael, what about you?
Yeah, I just looked at 2025. I was at NRF, National Retail Federation, the big show in January, and 70+% of all of the sessions had the word AI in the session title. So I think 2025 was a lot about discovery around AI. I think people have enough personal exposure to AI to know that this is where we're going in the future, and a lot of companies are now pivoting. And if you're not, doing AI, you're going to get left behind. So I think that's what needs to be at the top of the agenda for 2026. Is you have to find a way to start AI initiatives. So going back to what we were talking about earlier, you can keep doing the right thing of improving your master data, because if you're asking AI to do something that's operational in nature, let's say taking a bunch of information around inventory, sales, and then do the replenishment ordering from your suppliers, a small task that it should be able to do for tens of thousands of SKUs that you may be buying if you're a retailer, that would kind of alleviate a lot of the labor and the opportunity for errors. You have to have very precise data to do things operationally. When you get into the analytics side, which to me will be some of the use cases down the road, the data should still be accurate, but you can get away with just having the data be good, to be able to make those predictions or be able to detect trends in your data, like, hey, for some reason the sales in this region of the company is way above what we would normally expect there. So even if some of the sales data was not 100% accurate, it'd probably be good enough for the tool to be able to detect that trend. So just kind of think about it in those two ways.
Cool. Sounds like 2026 will divide organizations onto those who are doing it versus those who are falling behind. And hoping it's something like maybe blockchain. I'll just pass over a few years. But I agree with you. I think it's at the very least its foundation. It's gonna grow within the organization, right? It's here to stay.
That's a great call out around the blockchain. How many people said it's, it's a hoax, it's this, it's that. And, you know, back at that time, all you had to really do is, for $10, you could have used it and invested in blockchain just to educate yourself so that when you do see that it becomes real, you won't be starting from zero. Right?
Hmm. A strong message to the audience. I love it. Well, thank you, Brandon and Michael. I want to encourage our audience to share questions in the chat. Let us know whether topics you want to hear about. Let us know if this shorter format worked for you, where we can put a lot more information into a shorter amount of time. If you want to dive into these ideas, we have a really great MDM ebook that expands on the ideas that we talked about today. That'll be in the description here. You also find it on Precisely's Resource Center under ebooks for MDM topic. It's Master Modern Data Management Challenges. So if you're looking to talk to somebody at Precisely or Intellitide on how we help companies for AI for MDM or MDM for AI, or just how to connect MDM to broader business goals that you might have in the data governance initiative, go to precisely.com or intellitide.com. Both of them have a get in touch button in the top right corner that you can click and just mention that you came from this event. So cool. Other than that, thank you guys for joining us today, and hope you have a great rest of your day.